Hello Divine Souls, and welcome to my channel, Journey of Soul Mastery. I am your host, Rebekah Cortez. If you're new to the channel, the emphasis is empowerment, empowering your states of existence, and the focus of this video is narcissism. So let's dive in. Anyone operating with an ego is perpetuating all manner of lower vibrational patterns of behaviors that shadow our individual highest version of self and our highest potential as a collective. Narcissism represents one attribute that forms the negative platform of ego that perpetuates suffering through the pain medium of ignorance caused by unevolved states of consciousness. Lower states of consciousness distorts the way we relate and connect to each other and express compassion and empathy in healthy ways. Lower vibrational interrelating models promote hierarchy structures played out in toxic prey-predator dynamics. The narcissist predators in this context are those seeking emotional supplementation from external sources, and the prey in this context are seeking ways to emotionally express their compassion and empathy from the platform of ego that sets themselves up to be preyed upon due to their savior complex that is lacking wise discernment. Both are dramatically unbalanced, and an interdependent exchange formulates as a result of egos colliding in an attempt to experience some sense of belonging, validation, or acceptance. Prey-predator dynamics ensure the suppression and abuse of one for the preservation of another, which is seriously toxic and becomes a codependent nightmare. Narcissism thrives off fear and perpetuates collective separation and scarcity attitudes, as well as competition. In all dynamics that we encounter, there is always a mirror and a reflection function between the individuals involved. This is how relationships and encounters support our growth and expansion journey. If you're in any form of a personal or professional relationship with a narcissist, it's very important for you to understand your role in the dynamic. You act as a one-way mirror to a narcissist. They only see themselves in a favorable reflection, even if the reflection of their own achievements are delusional. As soon as you do not reflect back to a narcissist what they want the mirror to say, they will turn the fault onto the mirror and say the mirror is the defect, because they are unwilling to hold themselves accountable for any negative contribution and are arrogantly unwilling to see any fault in their own actions. It is truly a closed-minded existence, but at their core, narcissists are fragile because they can't even handle the slightest constructive advice, because in their mind, they are convinced that it's the responsibility of everyone else to bend to their will or shift to accommodate their way of doing things. And they'll get downright defensive and even cruel if you try to convince them that they need to change anything about themselves. They are capable of creating such a hostile environment to spark fear into those that are trying to oppose them, to try to regain control of any situation and manipulate it to go their way. The instant someone exerts confidence and resists a narcissist's tactics, then they will turn the dynamic into a shame game and try to make the other person opposing them feel very guilty. Self-absorbed people are very draining to be around because they give no attention to the distress or needs of others, and the more individuals choose to close off their hearts, the more their own agendas will escalate to narcissistic behaviors. Narcissists are extremely conditional in their support and require an invested interest in how they play the situation to meet their favor in order to act in accordance and extend any support. If they don't deem it important, according to their own classification or definition. They will offer criticism or no interest or support at all. Narcissists always have a very self-serving agenda behind what they extend to others. Highly sensitive, emotionally driven, empathetic individuals have a tendency to attract narcissists along their journey of self-development and discovery. This isn't because there's something wrong with them. There are numerous reasons why this happens, one of which is because all healers, teachers, and empaths, light workers, need to learn the lesson of loving wisely, setting healthy boundaries, and letting go of their need to help in unhealthy ways that lead to overextending oneself. Narcissists are always on the lookout for people they feel they can easily manipulate and control, and when empaths and sensitive natured people are not elevated into states of self-acceptance, they're operating from ego, which makes them vulnerable to a narcissist's games. Narcissists are drawn to successful, high energy, positive, and motivated individuals because they like having many trophies, because it makes them look more accomplished and desirable. They want you to be successful enough so you don't need anything from them, because they don't want to be around needy people, because they are very lazy when it comes to extending themselves in committed emotional ways to others. And narcissists are only on your side as long as they can take credit for being the source of all that made you successful. As soon as they think that they're losing their grip of influence, they will start to slowly beat you down in subtle ways that are easily dismissed or overlooked, such as gaslighting. Nurturing people naturally have compassion for others and have a strong desire to help people. But when they're operating from ego, as I stated earlier, they set themselves up to be martyrs and have very disappointing and unfulfilling results in their quest to serve others. It isn't until self-love, self-worth, and self-acceptance is fully embraced that they can learn to love with wisdom, meaning they stop overextending in unhealthy ways. They stop suppressing their gifts and talents to serve the negative agendas of others. And they stop sacrificing themselves for the need to save others or to appease other people's expectations. Characteristics of a narcissist: willing for you to benefit them at your expense when they don't even need it. Take time to think about this. I'll read it again. They are willing for you to benefit them at your expense when they do not even need it. Always willing to let everything be your fault, especially when it isn't your fault at all. Always sees their involvement in anything good that happens, but they are unwilling to take responsibility for any negative actions towards others. Narcissists are very unapologetic individuals. They are always willing to take credit for things, even when they did nothing to earn it. Narcissists will always place the importance of their own survival, their own needs and wants above anyone or anything else. They are very self-serving, self-absorbed individuals. Nothing they offer to anyone is unconditional, meaning there are conditions attached that they may or may not share with you. Nothing they offer is void of self-interest, meaning there is some hidden agenda that is serving their own interest. Narcissists are capable of gaslighting. They are verbal abusers, emotional and mental predators. Narcissists are absent of conscience because they never accept fault or hold themselves in accountability. Narcissists perpetuate the third-dimensional ego matrix of separation and scarcity mindset through fear and control tactics. Narcissists require your audience, but they will only reciprocate when you require an audience from them when it benefits their own agenda or self-interest. We must be very mindful of not classifying people who have narcissistic tendencies as unworthy of love. All beings on this planet, all life here on this planet is worthy of love. People operating from ego feed off ignorance that smothers their ability to perceive things from a standpoint of understanding and wisdom. It is a twisted mental game that distorts truth and feeds into the falseness that ego drives from. Even if for an instant, information and guidance filters through the intuitive pathways to be heard, it is often rejected and pushed away because it is foreign to ego and therefore untrustworthy. Ego doesn't trust anything, especially self. Because of the disconnection to their own light and closed off hearts, they submerge themselves solely in external pacification and seek those with the qualities they are craving to experience but are too spiritually disconnected to allow themselves to fully open and allow transformation to occur that would initiate the flow of their own higher light and sovereign qualities to be internally experienced. So people with the largest hearts become the target of their self-serving agendas. They latch onto anyone who will feed them a steady supply of what they are unwilling to provide to themselves, while at the same time creating an environment that discredits the efforts of the one they rely on for their emotional requirements. Most people in ego are blind to the accountability factor. Establishing and nurturing self-love, self-worth, and self-acceptance is critical in elevating our confidence and trust in our ability to shape our realities in ways that promote a platform for our higher qualities, abilities, and characteristics to be fully experienced. It is everyone's individual responsibility to manage the relationship we have with all dimensions of self and nurture the connection with our higher self by staying mindful of the ways we honor and respect ourselves. It is important to experience relationships because they teach us so much about ourselves, but dynamics can turn very toxic quickly when we're approaching them from a codependent standpoint. After being exposed to a narcissist, it is important to recognize the need for emotional and mental healing, especially if you've been in a relationship with a narcissist for a lengthy amount of time. You must take time to heal and realign with your authentic nature again. It takes time to realign with yourself after being manipulated into fitting a cast that only served the agenda of someone else. But even the most toxic dynamics teach us so much about our responsibility to accountability. And it teaches us the importance of the responsibility that we have to self, to honor ourselves in all the decisions that we make. It takes time to rebuild your self-worth, self-esteem, and self-trust, to see through the negative influence that narcissists create. But time is always their enemy, because there isn't one person that time did not resolve or uncover the true nature of the game that a narcissist plays. The challenge is to trust yourself and trust the red flags you feel, and give yourself permission to walk away from toxic people. Always strive to make lemonade out of lemons, though. So no matter what decisions you have made that have brought about negative experiences, you should always refrain from being critical of yourself. And you must forgive yourself and choose to rise above the negativity by embracing the lessons. Life is your greatest educational system, because you gain wisdom. You elevate your insight and knowledge that supports your spiritual evolution. We experience challenges to help us grow and expand. Growth and expansion assists our returning to sovereignty of our authentic nature by identifying what must be removed or elevated to restore our vibrational frequency to be a match to our universal potential, abilities, and qualities. Growth and expansion does not have to be painful. It is possible to experience growth and expansion in joyful ways through the wonderful medium of humor, and allowing our higher wisdom and understanding to flow through in how we choose to perceive ourselves and the world of experiences around us. Humor helps us keep things light and not become so deep in ego we become heavy-minded and lower our perceptions that keep us from finding the joy and wonderment in our experiences, even the most negative. Because the lessons are the joy and wonderment in the end of any experience that we have. When we connect to our spiritual heart center, we allow our imagination, visualization, humor, and magic to flow. So we're able to see the value, purpose, and deeper meaning within all things we encounter. Life is only hard and full of suffering when we're rejecting our higher self, our universal potential, and settling for a life navigated by ego. Ego is fragile and does not possess all the qualities, abilities, and character to successfully navigate through this life without experiencing pain and suffering. Ego requires continuous reassurance because it is our small, insecure self. We only awaken the conscious perception of self-trust, self-acceptance, and belief systems that support our universal capacity when we connect to our higher self or oversoul and place it in the pilot seat. The soul strives to evolve, strives to expand, strives to ascend into higher conscious states of existence, and will navigate its vessel towards pathways that will promote that divine ambition. Most importantly, what can we learn so that we can recover? Learn how to raise the bar of how you treat and value yourself and others. Negative experiences only destroy us if we allow our egos to shadow the light on the other side of healing. We gain more empathy and compassion for others when we ourselves understand suffering. Learn not to be a martyr. Let go of a savior complex and unhealthy helping and overextending of self in sacrificing ways. You do not owe disrespectful and unloving people anything, but you do owe yourself everything. So hold yourself accountable for how you cultivate and nurture a peace-filled, fulfilling, and loving existence. Learn the value of personal responsibility and accountability. Learn how to set healthy boundaries. Let go of that which doesn't strengthen your authenticity and light. Learn to elevate your perception of relationship dynamics to be equal, compassionate, and unconditional. Learn how to say no. Learn how to honor yourself by walking away from toxic people. Learn how to achieve understanding instead of just wanting to be right. Learn that you cannot get through to those that do not want to listen, no matter how hard you throw yourself against the brick wall. Some people are just too attached to drama and dysfunction, and there is nothing that you can do to change that. You cannot save people from themselves. Elevate your compassion for those suffering, but value yourself enough to love wisely from a distance. Learn to elevate your own understanding of yourself, so you know falseness when you hear it and see it according to how you choose to define your own truth. Self-acceptance is key. Learn to be true to your own belief systems and do not sacrifice any aspect of yourself to suit someone else's ideology or expectations. Learn to operate from truth, compassion, and unconditional love. Learn that people are who they choose to be. You cannot change what is outside of yourself. Learn to not sacrifice any aspect of yourself for the sake of appeasing anyone else's ego. Remove unrealistic expectations of responsibility you think you have in helping or saving others that do not want to change. Learn to not surrender your personal power to anyone or anything. We as universal beings incarnating here to experience what it is to be human and participating in this collective human experience, the journey requires that we explore the depths of who we truly are, which require the consideration of self at all times. It is only the dark agendas that have twisted the perception of being interested in self as being selfish from a negative position, because people who are knowledgeable and confident in self know their own worth and see their own value above the ego matrix, so they are less interested in conforming and complying to that which takes them further away from their own authenticity. Our journey here is all about self-exploration, and it requires our conscious participation in returning to the authentic nature of our spirit. To gain understanding of what we authentically want, we must face and examine what is undesirable. Every time you start to get bitter about negative encounters or experiences, just remember the value is in the details of what we define as undesirable that moves us closer to what we resonate with as desirable. It is not selfish to contemplate our own needs and wants. It doesn't make us self-centered or self-serving because we cultivate a secure and solid relationship based on understanding and knowledge of all that makes us whole and complete individuals. Understanding our shadows assists us in appreciating our light more and seeing that we are worthy of more than pain and suffering. When we stop being in service to our own egos and rise above the clouds to see our higher potential.